Good afternoon, beloved community. I am Melissa Miller, host of The Chosen Heroes, and thank you so much for joining me here this afternoon. Have a very, very exciting episode. Anna Toledo and Richard Lighthouse from Targeted Justice are here to give us an update for all the great things that occurred at Targeted Action 2025 in DC, where they and other members of Targeted Justice, joined together along with many volunteers to make a difference in the awareness and getting the message out about what is being done to us, against us, the invasive targeted programs. So it's going to be a wonderful episode today. I want to kick off and give a shout out to Targeted Source LLC. Armando does amazing work with the equipment that he has designed. I use the Silent Night every single day. I just look at how my targeting and my sleep was before I had the device of the Silent Night. And I can't say enough. So if you're interested in learning more about the Silent Night or the SK Great Reset Zapper, Dr. Clark Zapper that he has, reach out to him at silentnight.source@gmail.com. And I also want to give a shout out to Tranquility and the beautiful job that she does at organizing all events related to targeted individuals at tievents.org. She's recently started a TI movie night, and that live streams on X for the tievents.org page. Again, every single night of and day of the week, you can find and plug events to go to and join others that are going through exactly what you're going through as a community. We must be unified in this and not divided. We are making such strides. So no one knows more what you're going through other than targeted people that are experiencing the same as you. I want to shout out to my upcoming guest. On the 21st, Dawn Solomon will be returning. And on the 28th, Audra will be joining us. Her last name is Bohatisk. I hope I'm saying that appropriately. On October 5th, very inspirational guest that will be joining us, Melody Hobson. You don't want to miss out on these amazing ladies that will be joining the Chosen Heroes coming up on a future episode. And also on September 27th, another Beyond the Looking Glass presents the Targeted Survivor Counterintelligence Training, the bi-weekly teleconference that I host with Jamie Rice, who is with Quantum Reality Studies. It's time to, shed the layers of the lies and manipulation that have been fed to us as targeted individuals and embrace our inner healing to break through and integrate those rejected parts of ourselves, because our healing is the kryptonite to these programs. And many ways to subscribe, follow, like, and share The Chosen Heroes. I have quite a few channels. I'm primarily on X. And thanks to Sean, a shout out to him, The Chosen Heroes Shorts Archives X page is now available with all of the short clips from the guests. So everything is nicely, organized, and there's no other content there other than the short videos, links to the whole episode. So check it out. All right, so I'm going to bring up Anna Toledo. I'm just so excited. There has been so many great things that took place at Targeted Action. Anna, thank you so much for joining me today. Oh, wow, what an incredible event. We will show some of the photos that were taken. There were so many great things that occurred, multiple days, right? From the 5th through the 9th, every single day was just packed with spreading awareness. And do you want to take us through, what the first day was and the rally that you had, and share what the feedback from it? You're on mute, Anna.
Sorry about that. Okay,
That's
thank you
okay.
for having me, Melissa.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it was an amazing. Well, we were there for a week, but it was an amazing 5 days, starting on Friday, where in the morning I went for a meeting with one of the two TIs that came from Kansas, that Sterling Battelle and Chris Metlin, that had scheduled a meeting for the morning, and we had the registration going. Kudos to Darren, who was an amazing volunteer registering. He's one of our digital warriors registering people there, and also Melody. And it was, it was a beautiful show of people, because it was as diverse as is our community, and people just came together in a very warm embrace, and everything went so smoothly that we were even shocked. No incidents, no accidents, no violence, no arrests, no arguments. It was a really good event, full of solidarity.
That's amazing. And I know that probably some had some reservations with recent events that have occurred in Washington, D.C., within the streets, but you were able, to join together in a peaceful demonstration on multiple days and not having any incidents. So that is reassuring to those who may want to get those meetings scheduled with their congressmen and their senators in DC, and get the word out.
I can tell you, Melissa, that you could actually feel, we were God's protection over our events and our people. DC is now a very safe place to be. You see the National Guards, they go in sets of four, these young men and women. And quite honestly, nobody got poisoned. I didn't, of course, there's people that are going to be always pointing the finger. That's a perp, that's a perp. But, when you're obsessed doing that, you stop enjoying the moment. So most people did enjoy the moment. They met people from all over the nation. We have now targeted California going on with Marlena and Miguel. They're going to be organizing there, and that's going to be very powerful, because we know we have a lot of TIs in California. And this was one of the purposes, aside from knocking on the door of people in Congress and Senate. It was an exercise to get people to meet each other and make little groups, so they can go back home and continue the mission of fighting to eradicate this program.
It's just amazing. I'm excited to hear about Targeted California, and I'm sure that those that live around California or in California will be excited to know that there will be a presence for them and that they can pitch in and make a difference. Do you want to talk about the rally at the Lincoln Memorial and how all that went?
Sure. Well, we had our, I think you have the pictures. We had our banners. We got there the first day that we did registration. We had the banners in Constitution Avenue, in 17th and 14th Street. There were warriors there that stood all day holding those banners, just like, Miguel, Don. There was people that flew in from Washington State, California. And so that was beautiful. Then the first official day, which was the Lincoln Memorial Rally at 9 in the morning, We had our event. Mari was one of our speakers, and she did, if you saw it, watched it on the live stream, she had a message for President Trump for Tulsi, for Kash Patel. And I'm going to be making clips of that and asking our community to please repost it, tagging these officials in their official accounts, because once it goes into their official accounts, they cannot deny it. At some point, excuse me, you know how the criminals go crazy when I'm in camera. At some point, there were many beautiful things happening. For example, there was a group of people there that started singing Amazing Grace. And that song is just so amazing, and
Yes.
so it makes you feel good. Automatic feel good song, right?
Yes.
And the vibe, the energy was really good. The energy, some people came, and we stayed there for a long time in the afternoon, giving away flyers. A lot of people are very timid about accepting flyers, and probably a lot of it is mind control, but it was a beautiful event to kick off the weekend. Then the next day we had the Jefferson Memorial in the morning, and that's when we had each of the TIs do a little snippet saying, this is what I would say to Tulsi, this is what I would say to President Trump. And those I'm going to be chopping off and also posting in social media. I'm going to be posting all the pictures I have in the targeted action tab in targetedjustice.com. So if you have pictures that you have not sent me, please send them to me at tjustice2@proton.me so I can upload them. If you have videos or you have pictures that you want me to upload, I will be more than glad to put them in a photo album in this page, in this tab. So the Jefferson Memorial one, we did a group picture.
I'm going to
A
put that
big
one up on the
turnout.
screen.
Not as
Yeah.
many. There
The
you
connection.
go.
There
Okay.
you are. Yeah. Oh,
Okay, well, that's not everybody. That's, I would say, 1/3 of the people that showed up. We had around 80 people that registered, even though 300 had registered online. I guess that a lot of people were, thinking, like you said, oh, something can happen, I'm not gonna go, but they missed out. And having gone to both targeted action, both the last year in Colorado was excellent, and this year was excellent as well. But this year had, we were able to visit with people in Congress and the Senate, and it sheds a light on what they are thinking. Most of them know that this is happening, or not, if not the entire thing, a great part of it. And their concern is, well, if I help you, how do I not get targeted? And that's what we have to focus our energy now into, training our community to demand local meetings with their representatives and speaking what they need to hear, which is all you have to do is act within the purview of your authority. Support Ana Paulina Luna's American Privacy Restoration Act. Include civilians in the Havana Act of 2021. Demand an end to the illegal surveillance through FISA 702. So these are things that are within their purview that would considerably help us shut down this program. But we need those that didn't make it there to make your appointment with your representative in your local office.
Absolutely, that's very important. To have that representation from the state of where you're being targeted, and meet with that representative. And Anna, your mic has been going in and out. Is it a handheld one? Because it's like kind of going in and out.
Because it's the It's the iPhone. So I don't understand. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it just keeps going in and out, you know. It just kind of freezes up. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I hear static. Yes, but I hear a static. I hear static on my side. And this is weird because I had to get a new phone because I left the phone in the car and this, you know how these perps are. It disappears, but I take entire blame for it because I shouldn't have been absent-minded and I shouldn't have left it in the car. So this is a new phone. It's not supposed to be doing that. But of course, you know how the criminals are. That they cannot stand that we do a single little thing without interfering with it. So let's just try to
Right.
get ahead. Keep on going with it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to bring up another photo. So this was this at the registration or what was going on here in this photo?
Hold on. It's really I can't see the picture yet. Let's see. Can you hear me?
It's still really jarbled.
Okay. Let me try to get this one. This one doesn't have the camera, but at least you're gonna have to. Let's go do this. Okay.
Yes, it's I can barely understand.
Hey, hold on. Give me a sec. Give me a second.
Okay.
Give me a second. I'm gonna
Okay.
go here. I'm gonna disconnect. Stay there. I'm gonna disconnect from here. Okay. And
Okay.
okay.
All right. And while Anna rejoins and reconnects, I'm just going to go through some of the wonderful pictures. I thought it was just amazing. Here is one of the banners. It looks like it's outside of the FBI headquarters. And there's Richard and a volunteer. And, you know, right there at the entrance of when the workers of the FBI building were coming into the parking lot. So strategically, they were there, you know, spreading awareness, holding the banners. And I also want to make sure that everybody knows that every day Anna was doing live recordings at, you know, during the rallies and flyer, distribution and holding the banners and such. And each day it was a live stream through Rumble. It was on X. I've reposted the videos on the Chosen Heroes X channel too. You can watch those live streams. And it's just really inspiring the amount of people that were there, you know, to those that are targeted, sharing their testimonies. It's just it was so heartwarming and so motivational to see them there and representing us all around the world that are a part of this program against non-consensually, you know, out there explaining to others and, you know, talking to those that they are distributing the flyers to about the directed energy weapons being used against innocent civilians, men, women, and children all around the world, having to be subjected to torture and experiencing the anomalous health incidents of what all comes with that directed energy being upon us, and the psychological things and manipulations that, and the gang stalking, the voice to skull, you know, spreading awareness that this technology exists, yet it persists. And what not a better place to be in DC, you know, explaining and educating those and spreading that awareness that this persistence continues because those in positions to make a difference in the lives of the innocent being subjected to these experimental programs of, mind control, mind manipulation, central nervous system override, voice to skull, directed energy at the body, the things that our bodies are subjected to on a 24/7 basis. The isolation that being targeted brings to us, yet we are strong and we're standing in solidarity and we're unified in our front, saying we won't take this anymore. So that's why it was so important to be there, in the Capitol, where decisions and actions can be made to stop this injustice being done against us. So I want to share another banner that there was a image of that I was able to get. And this is from one of the live streams. And this one was directed at Pam Bondi and stating that stop the FISA lies. There's 278,000. And that number was, accurately recorded and represented from 2020. We know that number is much, much, much higher than it was back then. So let me bring her back up to the stage. It's connecting. It's awesome.
On.
Hi, Anna.
Not on. Be careful, it don't fall.
Hi, Anna.
Okay, I'm here. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I was just going over a couple of.
I cannot. Okay, hold on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Awesome. Sorry about that. They totally hacked the phone, but this one doesn't have a SCUDA camera, but it will have to do. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
And I'm trying to remove my gavel background, and it doesn't allow me. I'm sorry about that.
No worries. We'll go with it. So while you were reconnecting and everything, I went over with the audience a couple of the banners that were present, and I reminded everyone about the live streams that you hosted each day and where to go and watch those on Targeted Justice. Chosen Heroes has them as well. The Rumble channel for Targeted Justice. So all of that while you were gone. And yes, I love the banners. So it looks like there was a lot of creativity, eye-catching statements. And so when people that were just passing by, unaware of the program, what were their reactions to these banners?
Well, there was a lot of honking in support. There was a lot of going like this. Remember, it is our belief, and Richard can tell you more about this when he first launched targetedjustice.com, that there is a huge amount of traffic coming from DC because it seems that even though it's not necessarily the most amount of targets in terms of density, in terms of per capita, probably DC is the place where most targets are, but they have to keep quiet about it because they don't want to be called delusional. So you have like RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, and a lot of people that we see that they're targeted. But so yeah, there was a lot of people going on like that because they knew what's going on. They know what's going on.
Yes, and I really like this one, remove our names. And I was stating the 278, that 278,000 is from 2020. We know that number is much higher, and to remove us from the terrorist screening database, And the website, which is very catchy, which if somebody was passing by, they see that, that's easy to remember, targetedjustice.com, so they could go home and later look up and know what all of that was about and get more information. So it looks like the weather was cooperating and
beautiful.
Yes.
The weather was perfect. Not the only day that it rained a little bit, and it was before our event, was Sunday in Jefferson Memorial, and then it cleared up and it was a beautiful day. And then that lady that you see there, she's the sweetest, holding that banner that first day, the sweetest person. She moved, I think, from Arizona and is moving in Virginia. She was so shy about it. But people from all walks of life came together. This banner in particular, the reason for the 278,000 is because that is the number that the FISA court cited on the FBI abuses on the applications between 2020 and the beginning of 2021, and Kash Patel included in his book Government Gangsters. So that is why it's such an eye-catching number, because this banner was created particularly for him, and thanks to Mr. Lighthouse, he was able to see it on the second day of protest at the FBI. So he'll tell you about that.
Oh, I'm excited to hear about that. That we, y'all were able to get his attention to see this banner, and it's just a reminder that we are waiting for, him to take up action on our behalf. If anybody knows what it's like to be targeted, he should understand. And we know that there are such nefarious roots to these programs, and there's so many involved, whether it be private corporations, research facilities, and all of that can be connected to this. But something needs to be done to stop this. And being present in DC with the volunteers is a reminder that we are waiting on action. Do you want to, let's see, there was a photo, let me bring it up. This is the one right before you had dropped off and was signing back in. Was this the registration?
No, this is interesting, because this one is in front of the buildings to the left that you see in that picture. That is the White House executive offices. But Richard can tell you now who sits there. I think it's the National Security Council. And then, but on the other side where we are is the Council on Trade, or the Trade Representative Office. And those suits, those snobby suits, came out like we were making their building ugly, because they were having all these meetings with people from outside of the, from foreign countries, because, they are negotiating now the tariffs. So they had these, I could see all these Asian people and people from other countries, getting off limos, coming in and out, or these black SUVs. And so they called the police to get us kicked out of there. And so the DHS police, which is in charge of that building, came over. So what are you doing here? I'm like, we are peacefully exerting our First Amendment right to protest. So, and we are on public property. So they really had no choice but to leave us alone. However, they had 4 cops stay there watching us all the time that we were there.
And is this what you're speaking of here, where you can see the officers?
Yes.
Here?
Yes. And then there was down a little bit further down, we had 2 posts of banners, and where Richard was with the other group, they put a patrol car with the lights going, never stopping, as if there was some emergency going on. It's, the entire PSYOPs.
Wow.
Street theater.
Is this an example of them?
No, that was Kash. That let Richard tell you about that. That was Kash Patel's SUV. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I'll let him talk to us about that. So out of all the days, what was your favorite moment with the rallying, with the flyer distribution and the banners? Out of all the days, which one really just sat with your heart?
Well, God, I had so many favorite moments because I we even went in front of I guess one of my favorite ones, because we laughed so hard about it. We went, Dominic Halpin, who is in our advisory board, he documented from the get-go everything, and he's going to be working on a documentary about our community. And so one day we went in front of the White House and did a little filming, and then as soon as I'm done saying something, this perp just goes by in a scooter. And it was just a hilarious moment, because for that evening when Dominic was reviewing his footage, it was, Dr. Sally and Maddie and I and Dominic, and we were just laughing so hard because we had gone through so much stress. Because I wish you could appreciate how much stress goes into planning and executing such an event, because we're always thinking that something can go wrong. The police can come and harass us. Somebody can break into a fight. So, there are all these, we might be missing something. The live stream won't work. There's always something going on, right?
Right.
And so that was a moment of just sheer laughter. One of the things that really, that I think one of the most memorable moments for me was that there was a TI. She's homeless, and an awesome TI from New York, Steve, took her in with his girlfriend, took her into his hotel room. And that just showed me, I guess that unless you're a TI, you don't do that kind of thing, and it just touched me deeply, because in the midst of so many horrific things, they have not been able to kill the flame of love and compassion in many of us. And for me, that was, I think, the most touching moment of the, there were many, many moments that I really loved. There was a TI that got there. She was all nervous and skittish. And by the second day of talking to her peers, she was calm. She was relaxed. She stopped the negativity, at least not so much. And I am so proud of her for that, because she's like, no, I can't do that. No, they're not going to let me. No. And this event proves that the criminals cannot stop you. When there's a will, there's a way. Because God knows, and I can tell you, Melissa, on the way there, I was so tortured on the airplane that I started to cry of the pain. It was unbearable. And so they did everything in their power to stop us. But our determination and the determination of all of those that made it there made it so that we could prove we can defeat the monster.
Absolutely. And I had mentioned to you, prior to you joining the podcast, that on Friday of last week, I was targeted with directed energy on my face really bad. But, that just let me know that, good things are happening. If they're that desperate, to attack us so viciously, because we are using our God-given right to voice what has been done against us, if they're just grasping at straws, it's going to reveal itself in such a grandiose way, because they cannot silence us. And even though they do these horrific things to our bodies and all of the tactics that they use against us, they cannot turn our heart to stone, because we are good people. And even though we've had the most atrocious things done to us, we're still good people. We refuse to relent to this experience. We are using it as our stepping stone and awareness for those and others. If we don't take a stand, then there is no hope for humanity. I am a firm believer of that. We are ordained by God to spread this awareness, and we are covered by God to get these messages out. And no matter what little dirty tricks they try on us, very painful things that they do to us, we are still burning the light, the flame of awareness of what has been done to so many.
Absolutely. I use the pain to fuel my desire to shut these criminals down. And I want to, and Richard will talk about it more if you want, but Team California, Marlena and Miguel and 3 others went up and down Embassy Row giving away flyers, because all of our TI friends outside of the United States have to know that this battle is not just for those covered by the Constitution of the United States, which is not being respected as it pertains to us. We are also fighting for you. And so all of these embassies got our flyers, and the Burns flyers and the TSDB flyers, so they are aware, because 95% of the targeted individuals are outside of the United States. So that was a really successful campaign that was done on the day of the Lincoln Memorial Day on Saturday. They burned, if you see the live streams, you will see how burnt my face was on the first live stream. It was completely deformed, but I don't care, because that's why they are providing the evidence of their malfeasance. It's there on the record, so they cannot deny it.
Absolutely. When my face got burned on Friday, I did the teleconference with Jamie Rice. And then on Sunday, I didn't even try to cover it up on the teleconference. I posted pictures. The thing of it is when we continue on and it's recordable evidence of what has been done against us, did they think we were just going to go run and hide and put cover ourselves with, a blanket and just hide and isolate? No, they are to know right now, by now, that the more that they press in on us, the more we come out and voice what has been done to us. Everything, the podcasts, the photos, the events, the live streams are all trackable, traceable evidence of what has been done, yet no one is interceded on our behalf. But we know that their system is crumbling. This cannot continue to persist with so many people being attacked. And can you tell me about, I know that you had meetings with congressmen and senators. Do you want to talk to, about some of those for the audience?
We had with aides, and I talked to 2 one senator, 1 congresswoman, and like I said, one of their worries, which we have to dispel, is how do I not get targeted? But the pervasive message from them back is, we know this is happening, and we know this is happening. We just need to tackle it. We just need to know how to deal with it. I spoke to the senator. I asked her, are you a mom? She said, yeah. I says, this is happening to children. Mm-hmm. And she says, yeah, we're aware of it. So I think that, the wheels are turning, but we need to make them turn faster. And that's why I said yesterday in my gavel, or day before, yesterday, it is my intent to move to DC, because from here, from Texas, I cannot do what needs to be done. I want to move there, and I want to run, walk through all those halls of Senate and Congress every day until we shut down this program, and get into meetings. I was fortunate to go into that meeting that Ron Johnson presided about the vaccine injury and the corruption of the doctors. And it was just so fascinating seeing all these amazing people, and Senator Johnson, whom I went and talked to. That is where I need to be in order to, force the issue and help shut this down. We can, this is no time to be shouted or to just sit here and wait for things to happen. No, I need to go there, and that's what I'm going to be working on the next weeks to just get myself there and work on shutting this down.
That's amazing, and I've never met anyone with such a fire and desire to help. You truly are the voice of this community and what we go through, and you're our greatest champion, and you're a warrior of light, and that to make sacrifices to be in the front and center of where all of the action, where those decision makers is, that is a bold sacrifice for this community. And on behalf of me, and I know many others, I thank you for that, Anna.
Thank you.
It's just so.
I'm gonna make it happen, Melissa. I when I get something between my skin and my bones, I make it happen, and I'm gonna make it happen because it just needs to happen. That is the one download I got while I was there. That if I get these people, if I get to talk to these people, I can get a consensus and we can get them to work towards our freedom. But from afar, it's very easy for our community. It's like Richard said, the banners, he said, and it's just amazing. He says, this is analog. This, the criminals cannot hack.
Right.
Being here, they cannot hack this. And that's why they were so angry, because they couldn't stop us. They couldn't stop the flyers. They couldn't stop the banners. And they couldn't stop the meetings. But from afar, they can hack our emails. They can hack our calls. We think we're talking to somebody in their office, but we're not. So that's why I made that decision. But I'm going to leave you with Richard because he has many good stories to tell you.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
So you're going to pause?
Yes.
Okay.
Richard, so glad you could be here and join us. So Anna's told us many great things. I'm very excited to hear the information you would like to share with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Melissa. Thank you. So we're very excited about our trip to DC. We think we did a lot of good things. I think we properly represented the TI community. We made inroads in terms of exposing the program to many of the embassies who may be misinformed about what the TSDB is and how it's being used. So very pleased with some of our successes. And yeah, so if I can, I'll go through kind of a day-to-day list of the things that we did. So Friday, we started doing registration. We did some banner displays on Constitution Avenue, which is just on the south side of the White House. And we got lots of honks, and we had, more than a dozen people out there signing up at any time and helping us hold up the banners. And so that was productive, and we got people signed in. Keep in mind, we've got a lot of guys that people that came from all over the country that have never met another TI. So for them, just to meet another TI, and that for those of you that remember the first time you got to explain to another TI what was going on with you, it's very emotional.
Absolutely.
And it's very rewarding to actually have somebody listen to you and believe you and say, yeah, oh yeah, I've experienced that too. So we did a lot of that, a lot of sharing. And we went to dinner. And then on Saturday, we met early at the Lincoln Memorial. Lots of folks were there. We've got some good video on that's on Rumble channel.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a number of speeches, and some personal interviews were done. Dominic is doing a lot of testimonials, individual testimonies that are very powerful from TIs all over the world. And so we're really putting together a compelling story that we can share. Sunday, we were at the Jefferson Memorial. Lots more individual interviews. We did a group photo shoot. More. There you go. Yeah, that's More than 30 people were there. Some people were shy, camera shy, and didn't want to participate on camera for various reasons. That's okay. But we had a good group. A lot of volunteers went out of their way just to be there. And for some of these TIs, taking off work is a big deal.
Right.
So plus the travel expenses, and we understand that. So it's very helpful to see the look on their face and to see that they feel like we're exposing the program and we're going to get it shut down. So let's see. Then we went on. Then we did FBI. So Monday and Tuesday, there were lots of meetings with congressmen and senators. Targeted justice leadership team went to some of those, but some of those were also done individually by TIs that are in various congressional districts. So we don't have a good count of just how many meetings were done. I want to estimate around 15, maybe 20. We're going to follow up on those to see if we can get some productive feedback. So our goal really with these meetings is we'd like to have a hearing similar to the church committee hearings in the 1970s. We need to have the impetus. We've got to have compelling evidence. We've got to have a list of people that can sit up there and tell what's going on and make a continuous story that this illegal program has been going on for decades and has got to be defunded and shut down. And so we're not quite yet at the hearing level, and we need to keep pushing on these congressmen and senators to say, what do we need to do to get a hearing? What is it going to take?
Right.
What information do you need? And I understand their concerns. So we're trying to address their concerns and put together a viable hearing. So we keep pushing on that. In the meantime, we had other folks that were not meeting with congressmen or after their meetings. We met at both the FBI and the DOJ headquarters. We had some really good banners up there. We had banners that were directed at Department of Justice, Pam Bondi and Ed Martin. We had FBI banners for Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. So all of these are helpful in getting the message out. So we had these banners on display first thing in the morning for the thousands of employees that are showing up for work, either via car or they're riding in on Metro Rail, and then they come across the street and enter the building. So we tried to give them flyers. They definitely saw our banners. And, some of them, we had various comments from some of them. Some of them were like, one of the comments we got from an employee was, yes, we are well aware of the FISA abuse. It's being worked on or it's being looked at. So they're aware of it, but we need to keep pushing on them to get some progress. We also got some other comments. One FBI employee was walking in and said, well, you guys got a lot of nerve. Like, you don't understand who you're messing with. I didn't say anything back to him. I should have said, oh, yes, we do. And that's why we're here. But I think there's a misperception on some of their parts about who we are and what we're trying to achieve. We're not trying to ruffle feathers. We're trying to get a specific program shut down. And that is certainly within the policies and procedures of FBI headquarters. We had one FBI employee told us, well, we don't do investigations out of this building. That's all done at the FBI field office. And I said, well, the policy that allows 3-year-old children onto the terror screening database, that is something you can definitely deal with in this building.
Right.
And, so the points that we want to make for the FBI and DOJ is 3 major points, and this was on our flyer. And we distributed that flyer for folks that didn't see it. If you go to our newsletter that we published about a week before we went to DC, we published 3 flyers, one of which says, here's our 3 main problems with the TSDB. 1, 97% of the names have no known ties to terrorism. That's not our opinion. That opinion came from the Office of the Inspector General. Right. That's their job to look at and audit these things. And they determined 97% of the names have no reason to be on a terrorist list. There's no valid reason for that. There's no probable cause. There's no reasonable suspicion. So we've got banners that said that. the second thing is the children. We've got the children on the list, and that's completely unacceptable. The claim that a 3-year-old child is a suspected terrorist is laughably ridiculous. It's laughably ridiculous, and it violates the rights of that person. Even children have rights, and accusing them of terrorism because you might want to track their parent, that's not an excuse. That's a violation of law. That's like saying,
could it possibly be generational targeting? Why the child
certainly it is. Yeah, we there's no valid reason for making accusations against someone that didn't commit a crime. If you suspect the parent of the crime, then go arrest them. There's got to be probable cause and reasonable suspicion. But then to extend that to a child who clearly hasn't committed a crime and has no basis for reasonable suspicion or probable cause, it becomes a joke. It's just wrong on so many levels. And whatever dogma they want to bring up to justify it, it violates the Constitution. You can't follow somebody because they know somebody else and accuse them of a crime. They're basically accusing you of a crime as a justification to try to get to somebody else. And again, neither one of them have reasonable suspicion or probable cause. The TSDB has never been used to stop an act of terrorism. That's huge. It basically tells one of two things: either FBI is grossly incompetent, or number two, that's not the real purpose of the TSDB. The fact that 97% of those names have no known ties to terrorism, it tells you what the real purpose of the list is. It's a blacklist, not a watch list.
Right.
They're compiling a name of people that they want to say are bad guys, and they're going to harass them. And there's no justification for it. There's no reason to do it. And they know that it's unconstitutional. The FBI field officer that nominated these names bypassed their necessary constitutional review and sent the names directly over to the NCTC so they could get away with the not having to do the constitutional review. So all of that needs to be exposed, and these names need to be removed from the list. And we're going to do it. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to get this done. For those TIs that don't understand it, this database, if you can get your name removed from it, then there's no way for them to attack you with weapons because you're removed from the system. So this database list is the system. By removing the names or shutting down this list, then it makes it moot for all of the directed energy weapons, the voice to skull. They have to have a central database that gets distributed every day through NCIC, which is a division of the FBI. And this database is sent all over the world according to the treaties that they've signed over many decades. So this is one of their weak points, is the TSDB. So this is why we're driving so hard to try to get the names removed from this list. We also visited the White House Executive Office building. As Anna mentioned, this is where President Trump's closest advisors sit. And this is a big building. There's thousands of people that sit in this building. You've got the National Security Council and all their staff. You've got the president's personal attorneys. You've got advisory boards for environmental, for military, all these different advisory board groups and advisors that work directly for President Trump. So this, by reaching out to them, we're hoping to affect their decision-making process. The Secret Service certainly has an office in that building, as well as providing security for the president. So it's a key point in terms of exposing the program, is going directly to his advisors, and that's what we did. So the embassy, Anna mentioned the Embassy Row. That's very valuable for TIs internationally. We didn't forget about you guys. We went up and down Embassy Row, more than 100 embassies, countries all over the world, handed out flyers. We did both these little cards it's a diagram card describing how the tracking works. And we handed out some of these flyers that I had mentioned earlier. So we're raising awareness. What's interesting about Embassy Row is these guys are just as the United States is when we go to a foreign country, they're trained intelligence agents. Okay. These aren't just nice guys that work for the State Department and they're really good at shaking hands and doing diplomacy. No, these people are trained intelligence agencies. They're not just State Department personnel. And by the way, most State Department personnel that are stationed in a foreign country have been trained by the CIA. The CIA has direct involvement in their training, direct involvement in who gets assigned, and you can be certain that other countries do the same thing. When they send somebody over to the embassy in Washington, D.C., those guys are spies. They live and breathe intelligence and rumor and innuendo, and they want to know all the little details of what might be going on. So we're giving the information to the right people that are going to go out and research it and check it and see what's going on. And quite frankly, I don't think most of them know what's going on. They don't know what the TSDB is being used for. They don't know how the weapon attacks are arranged, and we're providing them those details. So that's certainly very helpful to TIs in foreign countries. And we'll keep pushing on that as well.
But it sounds like you really created quite a buzz and, stir, being able to, pass those out on the embassy row. And that should bring comfort to those that are being targeted outside of the United States. And on their behalf, I thank you for keeping them in mind during this very, very important event this year. Were there any that you came in contact with during the embassy row? Any comments? Or were they just receiving the information to take away and look at it later?
There were some conversations. I was not there on Embassy Row when they were being handed out, but we had several people that were going up and down on both sides of the street. It's Massachusetts Avenue on the northwest side of the White House. There's a long. It's a major avenue, but these very I would say elegant mansions have been converted into embassies. International embassies have been acquired. And what's interesting is when you step on, they're generally surrounded by a gate of some kind. And when you step on their property, you are literally in the property of another country like Uganda or France or whomever. So that's no longer American soil, and it does not belong to the United States. That property belongs to the government that owns that property. And that's one of the interesting things. And the same thing is true when the United States has an embassy, say in France or Spain. That property is actually U.S. property. So it's an equivalent trade. You can't send policemen onto the country of a foreign soil and arrest them. That would be inappropriate and illegal. And so you'll see all these vehicles in Washington, D.C. that have diplomatic plates. They're like a light blue color, and it'll start with the letter D. And diplomats, even in Washington, D.C., have a lot of immunity. So unless they've actually, if they run a red light, I guarantee you the police are like, nah, that's a diplomatic plate. I'm not pulling them over. They have a lot of grace and immunity around Washington, D.C., and everybody knows about it. Unless they've done something like commit a murder or something that's very serious, police have been told you leave them alone because they may be carrying diplomatic materials and they can't have that briefcase open. They can't have their strategy exposed and the discussions that they may be having with U.S. trade representatives or whomever. And I understand it. It's a standard policy in every country, and it's something you just notice when you're in Washington, D.C. So we told our guys, listen, be respectful, be polite. You don't argue with somebody. You hand them a flyer and you smile. And if they have some questions, great, try to answer their questions. And that did come up. So you've got security guards or other people who may come outside, and because on their security camera, they see somebody came through the gate and is carrying flyers. And so several times someone came outside and said, hi, can we help you? And you said, yeah, we just want to give you this flyer. And they're like, so what is this? And so a conversation ensued. And so that's important. I think that helps us build credibility, but it's also important for our people that are distributing flyers to understand the delicacy of where they're at. They're literally standing on foreign soil. They need to be respectful and polite.
Right.
And so we emphasized that to our folks while we were there. So very interesting. And I know our guys got a big kick out of it, just seeing and interacting with all of these diplomats, some of the things that are going on. So we're very pleased that we could help our TIs that are in foreign countries that need exposure, particularly in the small foreign countries. I mean, they're being targeted. Their cell towers are being hacked and used without the government's permission, certainly without the private company's permission. And we're trying to get part of that information out.
That's amazing. Such a great work and progress to get that information to those diplomats. Do you want to tell me about this picture? I understand from Anna that this was Kash Patel's vehicle, and he was able to see that banner that you were holding up.
Yeah, I think we need to be respectful toward. There's a lot of black SUVs that look exactly like this. So just because you see, I need to caution, just because you see a black SUV, it doesn't mean it's Kash Patel. So or any other particular leader. They have these generic black SUVs on purpose, so you really don't know who's in, and the windows are very dark. You're not going to see through. And so. But if you do see one, you can be certain it's somebody important that's in there, and they're probably on a way to a meeting or doing something important. So you know, if you're in it, whether you're on a car or on this walking or on a bicycle, just get out of the way and be respectful that their time is very important, and you can pull over and let them pass. So I have a great deal of respect for Kash Patel and Mr. Bongino. We want and need their support to get the TSDB exposed and shut down. So we're very grateful that we had the opportunity for them to look at our banners, and kind of get a perspective from the people that are being affected by this. So we continue to be hopeful that we can have a meeting with Kash Patel or Mr. Bongino at some point in the future. So I hope we're building up some credibility by showing that we do respect them. We respect their necessary security boundaries, and we'd love to have a meeting with them at some point in the future.
That would be amazing. And the feedback that you've received from those that were, employees of the FBI, acknowledging that they are aware that this exists. As I had mentioned to Anna, there's just such deep tentacles to these programs, and we wish we could see this action sooner. But knowing that it's quite a Goliath, right? It's quite the iceberg. It just didn't happen overnight. There's many layers to it, and by continuing to be in front of the individuals that are in the position to begin, action work and investigation toward it is what the goal is all about. In the meetings that you had with those, either whether it be aides or congressmen or senators, the feedback seemed to be the same, right? That they were aware that it was happening. And do you want to share any of those interactions?
Yeah, sure. Our general feedback is that we're not the first ones to bring this up. They are aware of it. I would also say my intuition says they're not sure if it's real. There's always that gnawing concern. Are these people telling us the truth? And it's something that's hard to investigate from a congressional office. Our congressmen are not experts in engineering in general, are not experts in engineering or medicine, although there are some doctors that are senators and congressmen. And their perspective on Havana syndrome and whether or not it's real and what tests needs to be done, that's a very technical, specific, detailed information that a doctor may have, but most congressmen and senators don't understand it. So there may be a few engineers in Congress and Senate. I think I've come across one, and trying to explain the technology to somebody that gets it and understands the math that's involved in the physics is a whole nother level. And
Right.
so that's a real bridge to cross. But that doesn't mean we can't make efforts. The legal issues, the things that they can physically do that would be very helpful to us, for example, shutting down the FISA 702, amending the Havana Act of 2021 so that civilians can be acknowledged and benefit from the medical investigations that could be done, and the weaponization of government issues. So that's why I mentioned earlier, we're trying to get that hearing that we need. We'd love to see a church committee type hearing where, and we can line up TIs a mile long that will come and sit and provide their sworn testimony about what they've experienced and what's going on. So we're working in that direction. We need TIs to understand this is like moving a mountain. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It means we can't just do it in one trip. Right. I think we made some important progress this time, and we're going to follow up with these congressmen and senators, and we're going to get a breakthrough one of these days where we can have that hearing and we can expose that program. In the meantime, there are things that we can do to bring up the issues of FISA 702, the weaponization of government, the truth and transparency issues that Trump has signed executive orders on, and getting the Havana Act amended or modified to include civilians. So those are things that you can work on as a TI in any country. You can contact congressmen and senators. You can contact media people. You can contact government agencies such as the FBI and DOJ. So, and we encourage them to do that. Be respectful, be polite, and you're going to get a response. But if you're going to make accusations and say you're all crooked, and you're all, whatever expletive you want, you're not going to get any progress. So let's be respectful, contact them, and no, just contact him once and going, well, I tried. That's not good enough. These guys have lots of issues and lots of priorities, and we're not on the top of the list, unfortunately. So we need that momentum of thousands and thousands and thousands of contacts before it sticks. So please help us. If you're a TI out there who wants to do something, go to our website, targetedjustice.com, and we've got a list under activism that says how to fight back. And you'll notice we always advocate for nonviolent methods. We never threaten anyone. We've got a whole list of dozens of things that you can do as a TI anywhere in the world that can help to shut down this program. So we encourage you to do that.
Absolutely. And a very important point is, I know that because of what we're subjected to on a 24/7 basis, emotions can be high, anger can be involved, but we need to be tactful when we are spreading awareness and making contact with those. Because you think about it, if somebody comes up to you, shouting obscenities and, all of this brazen language at you, your natural response to that is to build up a wall and be defensive that this person is a threat. We need to be cohesive in our message. We need to be factual. We need to try to make sure that our communications are non-emotional, and because the facts and the truth support what we are trying to represent. And if you're unsure about your communication, there is a plethora of information that you can use as a guide for your own communications and posts and letters. And when you are trying to make contact to these organizations. So that's very, very important, because we don't want to feed into the psyop of what was created to use against us, which is instability, mental health is questioned, all of these things. So we have the cards stacked up against us because of that perfected psyop to just lump us as possible, CI, mental unstable, violent, all of this stuff. So we've got to get that out of our way in order to be heard in a greater, more profound and meaningful way and more impactful way. So we have to be very tactical in our communications and solidarity too, and in unison, that we are just reporting the facts of what has been done, and we need attention on this matter.
Yeah, absolutely, Melissa. So we look forward to sharing more information as we have updates.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll try to do that through your podcast and through the legal issues that come up through Anna's gavel every Wednesday. So stay tuned for that.
Can before we go, can you talk about a couple of meaningful moments from as the TIs shared their testimonies and they were brave to take the mic? I know, me personally, on the live streams, if those have not taken advantage of watching those, it really is heartwarming. The bravery of those to speak out. And again, we are all going through a lot of similarities, and then there are things that separate us, our targeted journey versus someone else. But to hear those, it's very inspiring. And I really want to encourage people that have been going through this targeted journey to consider, broadcasting, attending a podcast, being on the Chosen Heroes and telling your story, because this is traceable, trackable evidence of wrongdoing and civil violation and, all of the things that we go through as a targeted individual. So were there any stories that are sharings from those within the community that touched you during the various events that you'd like to share?
Well, yeah, there was one funny moment. The second day we were at the FBI headquarters, and we're standing right outside the main gate. So this is where basically the way the pecking order works, and this is true for any corporation or any government agency, there's inside the building, the parking garage only can handle a limited number of vehicles. And then basically you got to use private parking, and they may credit you that as part of your compensation, but you can't park in the garage that's very convenient where you just get in the elevator and you go straight to your floor. That's reserved for the executives in the building. So what you can deduce from that is that the vehicles that come and park in the garage in the FBI building, those are the executives. Okay. You see the logic of that. So we know the people we want to reach, those executives, are the ones driving in. That's where we're pointing our banners. There's lots of people that take the metro rail in, or they walk in or ride a scooter or bicycle. And you'll see those coming from both the front entrance and the back entrance to the building. And there's a lot of security interests. So you can't just enter the building in any location. If you're an employee, there's only 2 places you're allowed to enter the building. And when we were there the second day, there's one of the FBI security guards, and they've got like 5 or 6 of them that just stand around the front entrance directing traffic in and out. And there's one particular guy, and I had chatted with him a little bit. I'm not picking on anyone particular, but the second morning we're out there holding up the banners, and the way he asked this was pretty funny. He said, and he knew Anna's name. He says, "Is that attorney Anna Toledo? She's not coming back again today, is she?" And it immediately struck me the way he asked. He said, "Oh my gosh, these guys are afraid of Anna." Her name, and of course Anna never introduced herself, but this guy knew Anna's full name. He knew that she was an attorney, and he was concerned that she might be coming back again that second day. So quite an effect on them, and apparently they were warned, do not mess with these people. They've got a good attorney and it will be a problem, so be nice. So I know that they got to talk, and I shared that with Anna to let her know that they definitely are aware of her ability as an attorney. So that was funny, and we had a number of TIs share their stories. You know, we had TIs literally come from foreign countries as well as all over the United States. Some of them drove, some of them flew. We met some homeless TIs that lived in the DC area. And so one of the things we're trying to do, and I keep pushing on this, we're trying to get TI groups formed. And I have to emphasize, don't isolate yourself. That's not good. And TIs get into this mental state of, I don't trust anybody. I'm not going to trust anybody. And I get it. Unfortunately, that's what the criminals want you to do. Isolate yourself. Don't do that. You need to be a part of a group. Either form a group or join a group. We've got TI groups all over the United States and many in foreign countries. And you can join that group and visit with them and keep in touch. And that you'll find that reduces your gang stalking. We've said this many times. Don't isolate yourself. We're not asking you to be best buddies with everybody, but you develop these relationships and friendships, and these people can help you if you get into a bind. So it's beneficial to you. It's beneficial to them. If you go to the website tievents.org, they've got a tab under there that's state contacts and identifies many of the groups that have already formed that have like a monthly coffee shop meeting. We recommend that. Saturday morning coffee shop meeting is what seems to work really well for these groups. So we recommend that. And we're going to keep pushing. I've tried to get a TI group started in Washington, D.C. for many years, and it lasts for a few months and then it seems to disband. But we're going to keep pushing on that to get these TIs to meet on a regular basis, and they can help us. So that's one of the many things that we're working on right now.
That's great advice. I mean, I can't encourage people enough to plug in with groups. And, you know, with any groups, you know, everybody has a different personality. You never know what stage, you know, someone is in. You have to give people grace. Somebody who's new is really in the, you know, trying to, you know, understand the pieces of what has happened to them. Their life is imploded. They've been rejected. Nobody believes them. And then those that are a bit more seasoned in the years of being targeted, you know, have to, you know, they understand. You can never forget where it all began. And I always try to give people grace in that regard, is because there's so many stages to this emotionally, in addition to the physical that we go through. But having those around you that know completely about what you're going through, there's no greater feeling than that. And we have to, like you said, we can't be, you know, reclusive. We cannot be isolated and withdrawn. We have to connect in, because that's very damaging to us, you know, psychologically, and it's disempowering when you cannot relate to, you know, what you're going to someone else and have it received and heard. So I'm a big advocate for tievents.org. There's many different ways that you can plug in, even through chats with the podcasts, the teleconferences, chats. So definitely everyone plug in. Richard, this is just exciting news. I'm so proud that what all was accomplished by the many brave TIs that were there with Targeted Justice at these events, you know, hitting the streets, spreading awareness to those. You know, the banners were great, had Targeted Justice website. You know, it's eye-catching. People go home and they look that up to see what was going on. What did they mean by TSDB, right? And then they right there, you have, you know, transferred knowledge to somebody that had no awareness.
Yeah. I was very pleased with our successes here, and we will be back. So in the meantime, we want TIs to keep the pressure up. Contact your congressmen and senators. Here's the key thing that most folks don't realize. You can ask for a Zoom meeting, ask for a Zoom call. If you just call and say, hey, I want a phone call, or I want to come in and make a physical meeting, that's more of a stretch for them, but they love to do Zoom calls. Can I have a Zoom call or a Microsoft Teams meeting with a legislative assistant or the legislative director? Remember that we did a newsletter. We don't recommend meetings with the military liaison. Those people are not going to help you. But other people that are on the congressman or senator staff, such as legislative directors, legislative assistants, chief of staff, deputy chief of staff, those are some of the people that can be very helpful to us in getting our story and information out. And you just write to them or call them and say, I'd love to schedule a Zoom, 15-minute Zoom call with one of your staff. And would that be possible? And if you don't hear back in a few days, you call again and say, this is my second request. I'm politely asking to share some of my information so it can get to the congressman. And just keep following up. And I promise you will get through. By the third time, when you say, this is my third request, they'll go, okay, this guy's serious. We need to have somebody meet with him. And you'll get a Zoom call, generally a Zoom call with them, and you'll get your 15 minutes to describe what's happening with you. You won't be the first one to call. They have heard of it, but you can provide your details. We recommend you talk about representing the entire TI community. Say, these are the kinds of things that are happening. When you talk about yourself, it sounds very self-serving. Mm-hmm. And that's less helpful in explaining what's going on when you talk about, let me describe for you what's happening to many targeted individuals. We get gang stalking, we get directed energy weapons that are operated by the U.S. Space Force. We get, many of us have voice to skull or hearing voices. It's a real technology. These people are not mentally unstable. These are real technologies that are being used. So I encourage you, rather than telling your personal story, try to represent all targeted individuals and explain what's happening to many of us. And you'll find that it's better received. You'll find that they're more willing to listen to you rather than doing a very self-serving, well, my neighbor is doing this gang stalking to me and the policeman won't help me. That's very self-serving. Yeah. They're more inclined to listen to you when you represent the entire TI community. So we encourage you to do that.
Yes, I mean, that's a very good point, representing the whole. This is the examples. When we get too far into the details about our personal experience, that's where I think that they start to question us, because nobody can get exactly what we go through at that granular detail. But if we are prepared, Targeted Justice has so much great content on how you can represent as the whole. These are the things that people are experiencing. And then mentioning voice to skull and having, the patent numbers and information that support this. This technology is out there. It's so, hard for people to digest that it can be done against innocent civilians. But again, why would, children be on a terrorist screening database? These are all of the points. The flyers that, Targeted Justice has published has great bullet points of information to discuss in your meeting. You've got to be prepared, because you've got to make that 15-minute count when you do get the ear of someone that is, connected, to the Senate and Congress, even if it's, like you said, a legislative aid. But when you do get that time, make it count and be prepared and speak about the community as a whole. Don't go into the unique, individualized experience of what the targeting program is, but keep it, global.
Correct. Yeah. Keep the big picture view, and your information will be better received, and you're more likely to have that presented to the congressman or senator. So that's our suggestion.
Well, this has been so enlightening and so encouraging that, we're putting the waves out there. We're getting acknowledgement that, those understand that it's there. And we're holding them accountable by being that squeaky wheel of going, okay, something's got to be done. The future of humanity is dependent on this. we don't want children, growing up in an experience of being subjected to government weaponization, directed energy weapons, and going through what we are personally going through, month after month, year after year. We have to be the ones that make the difference, and to speak out and to continuously do it and not give up. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. We can't just try a couple of times. I know it's disheartening. We want things to move faster, but we have to continue the momentum. So, Richard, thank you again so much. Any parting words or advice for our community, or anything else that's coming up that our community should know that Targeted Justice has in motion?
Yeah, keep the faith, stay strong. I know that you have good days and bad days. We do too. Keep in mind our leadership team, we are all targeted as well. We have struggles we deal with every day, and we are still out there every day working for you. And I don't need to reemphasize that our board of directors has never been paid one dime. Our volunteers that have put in thousands of hours have never been paid one dime. We do this because we care. And we want to emphasize that. We want you, don't lose the faith. Stay strong. Go to our website, targetedjustice.com, and under the tab that says activism, there's an entire list of things you can do under how to fight back. Dozens of things that you can do: contacting your congressman, contacting media, contact the United Nations. There's many, many things that you can do. You can get involved. Don't sit there and wait for the system to take care of it. You can get involved and help us fight back. Yes,
and everyone should know that their voice matters, no matter how you've been degraded, the things that you've been called, and those labels, those are not yours to carry. You are a child of God, and you have a divine birthright. You are not born to be subjected to this. Use your most powerful weapon, which is your voice, and speak out about what has been done in these programs. So again, thank you so much, Richard, for joining me here today and sharing this information with our audience. And thank you, Anna, as well. I'm so excited to see the upcoming post that will continue from the event for targeted action. Very exciting to know that Derek is putting together a documentary for our community. I mean, we have really exciting things in the works. So again, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you joining today.
And thank you, Melissa.
All right. Thank you. God bless. And everyone, tune in next Sunday. We'll do it again. Thanks so much, everyone, for your support. And please be sure to check out targetedjustice.com. If you feel that Targeted Justice have helped you in any way, please consider a donation. They also have a gift shop with a bunch of variety of different items that helps. And all this effort, these banners, these flyers, the trips to DC, it doesn't come for free. So we appreciate your support as a community, and God bless everyone. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.